Here's Toy Biz Mr. Sinister from the Sentinel BAF wave, and Hasbro's Mr. Sinister from the Wendigo BAF wave. There is one more Mr. Sinister figure that we got by Hasbro, which is from the VHS animated series, but that one is simply just a repaint of this Hasbro Mr. Sinister. Both these figures does not come with any accessory, and you can see a slight discoloration on my Toy Biz Mr. Sinister, which I think is a common problem for this figure. Both their appearances are very similar to the comics, but the Toy Biz version is closer to his earlier appearances, having the neck area here exposed, unlike the Hasbro version, which has his costume all the way up to his neck. There's also a pattern engraved on the belt of the Toy Biz Mr. Sinister. I don't think in the comics he had any sort of pattern on the red belt. Hasbro's Mr. Sinister belt is just plain red. And of course, besides having a totally different body mold, the most important difference is the cape. The Toy Biz version has a higher collar compared to the Hasbro's version, but it is high enough for the Hasbro one. But more importantly, look at how exaggeratedly elevated the cape of the Hasbro Mr. Sinister is, just like in the comics. But for the Toy Biz Mr. Sinister, the cape at the back just simply flows down. For the Toy Biz cape, there is 4 parts to it, and each part has 4 pieces of these long strands. So there's only like 16 in total to form the whole cape for the Toy Biz Mr. Sinister. For the Hasbro version, the top part is actually one big piece connected together, although they kind of like slice it at some parts. Yeah, so it's not really individual pieces, but there are some gaps and also cuts between the cape. So yeah, looks better actually because it's kind of more full. For the Toy Biz version, it can actually kind of be removed. Let me try this. There, by just pulling it out, there is a peg over here at the back and the hole below the collar over here. So yeah, this is the whole piece of cape. Not really much compared to the Hasbro's cape. And you can see the discoloration is on the torso, front and back as well. And I just want to share with you this slightly customized Mr. Sinister, which I got after I got this one, whereby the person actually modded the cape. He took out the 4 pieces and inverted 2 of them so that the figure has the elevated effect of the cape. This elevated cape does look slightly better than how it originally was. And yeah, this part is a bit lower than the other side because when I kept it, it was pressing on this side, so that's why this is lower. But originally, both sides is like this. For the head sculpt, I think both looks okay. This one has a more serious face, and this one really has a sinister looking face. But yeah, both of them looks good. They have the red diamond at the center of the torso. This one, the paintwork has worn off, and both of them has these sculpted lines. For the hands of the Toy Biz, the sculpt is really intricate and looks good. And they have the individually articulated fingers, as most of the Toy Biz figures have. Hasbro's hands are just the normal plain hands. And at the feet, the Toy Biz has the creases near the ankles and also the knees. Hasbro has these cuffs over here at the ankles. In terms of sculpt and appearance, both of them are good in their own ways. And like I mentioned earlier, this is more to his early appearances, and this one is more towards his modern appearance. For articulation, the Toy Biz Mr. Sinister has the normal hinge joint for the neck. Arms go up to the side, bicep swivel, double hinge, elbow joints, wrist hinge joint is not able to rotate. And as I've shared earlier, 4 individually articulated fingers. The thumb doesn't move. There is a slight shoulder butterfly joint. Ab crunch doesn't really move that much. Waist swivel. Ball hip joint allows the figure to do a good split, although Mr. Sinister doesn't really need to do that. Thigh swivel joint at the ball hip joint. Ball hip joints allows the leg to go up to the front, only about this much. Double hinge knee joints. Calf swivel. And ankle hinge. And toe hinge. Not really much sideways movement for the foot. Typical articulation of a Toy Biz figure. For the Hasbro Mr. Sinister, ball hinge joint on the neck. Arms go up to the side this much. Bicep swivel. Double hinge elbow joint, wrist swivel and hinge. He doesn't have any shoulder butterfly joint, and the shoulder pad does kind of slightly restrict the movement a little bit. Not that bad though, because it is made of a soft rubbery material. Add crunch to the front and not much to the back. Waist swivel below the belt. This amount of split, this amount of Van Damme split, this much to the front. And for the thigh swivel, it's a bit different. It's at where this part of the leg is. Double hinge knee joints. And again, for the calf swivel, it is actually closer to the ankles. And the ankle pivot and hinge. Good articulation on the Hasbro figure as well. I don't think it really needs a shoulder butterfly joint. And for a bit of size comparison, here is VHS Cyclops and Apocalypse Wave Wolverine. Both the Toy Biz and the Hasbro Mr. Sinister is a good size bigger than the other X-Men characters, which is great. So, between these two, which one do you prefer? For me, definitely Hasbro hands down. The cape is better. I prefer the modern appearance of the figure and that the sculpt and the articulation of the figure is good. Not saying that the Toy Biz one is bad. The Toy Biz Mr. Sinister is actually one of the Toy Biz Marvel Legends figures that still holds up. Which one would be in your X-Men villains setup? Thanks for watching. Do subscribe to my channel and check out my other videos.